Welcome to Unleashed. And don't forget to join us on Patreon for early access and exclusive content. Here are the guys.
We need to talk about Rey Skywalker.
Rey.
Welcome. I'm in my living room. Have a seat on the couch over here. Play some piano. Do it all. We got to talk Rey Skywalker. Rey's been a major topic of conversation. This video that I'm on right now, it looks like I'm from 1970. Rey has been a topic of conversation for the last little while, sparked a lot of debate, a lot of rumors. Is it good to have Rey? Is it bad to have Rey? Should Rey be back? Should Rey not be back? And I've got a major answer for you. I'm James. This is Rebel Scum Podcast. Welcome to Unleashed. I'm unleashing it today. The show, I come on and I just babble. So I'm just going to talk Rey Skywalker. Am I honest? This is going to be the most honest I've been about anything. That's not true.
Liar!
I'm going to be honest about Rey, though. My thoughts on Rey, my thoughts on how Rey should go and why or not Rey should either continue or not continue. Straight up. Do all the nonsense you're supposed to do. We have a Patreon, join the Patreon, whatever. Andrew Fantasia's coming. We got Star Wars Podcast Day, February 7th, is celebrating 25 years of Star Wars podcasting. Not us. We're on 8 years, but 25 years of that. So that's going to be a lot of fun. We're going to do a live show on February 7th at night. And during the day, Andrew Fantasia is going to have a little something special for everybody as well on this channel. Let's get to it. Rey Skywalker, should she continue? Is the movie happening? Is it not happening? Brock and I did a fun conversation on that a week ago, which is great. I gave my opinion there. So did he. And a lot of people are chiming in. And my opinion is I 100% believe that Rey Skywalker needs to continue in Star Wars. And whether you want to call her Rey Skywalker, Rey Palpatine, Rey CVP the third, whatever, Rey nobody, it really doesn't matter what you want to call her or why. She's got to continue. She is the future of Star Wars currently. You can, Mando and Grogu are the future. Well, they're the past present. What I'm saying is, the thing with Mando and Grogu is they're great and they have 20 years to play with timeline wise, and then they could probably go and make things up in all these other ways that they want to.
This is the way.
But the thing with Rey, and I brought this up a little bit on the podcast last week, the thing with Rey is all bets are off. You could do whatever you want, go in any direction you want. There's nothing stopping you in the future. Nothing is stopping you. Everything with Rey is a clean slate. And, I saw some arguments here that but that might be what we wanted from Luke Skywalker. Like, Luke is what we wanted. That didn't happen. Whether that's what you wanted to happen and see him rebuild the Jedi Order, it never happened. I mean, he kind of did, I guess, but it didn't work out. But it didn't happen. We didn't get that storyline. We might get more of it in the Mandalorian verse, in the Mando verse with the Filoni movie and whatnot. But ultimately, that's not what we got in the sequels. And whether you like the sequels, but if you hate the sequels, you have to remember that they still happened. They're still a thing. And people hated the prequels, and you just have to kind of move on from that and accept what it is. Now, it might be a little bit easier on people who hated the prequels because you can hate the prequels, but you know that the originals are there, right? So the characters, everything that happens in the prequels is fine because it leads to the original trilogy greatness, if you will. Whereas the sequels, there's no original trilogy greatness that it leads into. The sequels lead into nothing, which is why, for me, thinking about this, discussing this right now with you, is saying that this is where you've got to go. You've got to take Rey Skywalker. But why does it have to be Rey? And I'm going to keep saying Rey Skywalker for certain people out there. But why does it have to be Rey? Why? And it has to be Rey because Rey is the ultimately the last Jedi, right? Like Luke was the last Jedi, but now Rey has the text, and in Rise of Skywalker, she's a Jedi. Maybe Finn is, maybe not, but that we don't know that, and what we don't know, we can't control. What we can control is Rey. And when I say we, I mean not we. I mean, Lucasfilm and their story group. And Rey is the Jedi. Rey's the one that could rebuild the Order. Rey's the one that can tear down the Order. All roads lead to Rey. Now, you can have Rey, and you can have Rey be your protagonist for the foreseeable future, or you can have Rey, and Rey can pass the baton, as we I kind of believe was going to be the case with the sequels, where they're going to pass the baton off, and instead they all held the baton at the same time. And then some people said, why isn't this person holding the baton longer than that person? Why does that person have the baton at all? Blah, blah, blah. You could do that, right? She can have the baton, and then she could pass it off, which I believe was like the original idea of it. Who knows where it is now? But that's my feeling, is like you can either make her the lead for the foreseeable future, make her central to all storylines, whatever the plot is, she's the protagonist for that. Or she can be a secondary supporting role for somebody else's journey within this. Like an Obi-Wan Kenobi would have been, you would assume Obi-Wan Kenobi would be the protagonist in the original trilogy if you go 1 through 6 in that order. But instead he's not. He's supporting Luke. So you can do that with Rey. Now, I'm not saying Force Ghost or anything with Rey, but you can push her to the side, make her like the wise character or whatever. She's going to be, mid to late 30s, I believe, in those, or whatever, early, who cares? She's going to be older, 15 years older than she was the last time we saw her. So,
I'm like the Crypt Keeper.
You could do all that. And I think that would be fascinating. The one key, though, with all of it, the big thing that they have to figure out and really resolve is why, right? Is the why. Like, why are you going to make this movie? Why are you doing this to us? Why are you making me go to the theater to watch this Rey movie? It can't just be, the Second Order. The Empire's gone. I think we need to move far away from the Empire. And that's where the Mando and Grogu stuff can really, really play into, right? Is they can deal with the stuff that we love. But find a new villain. What is the new villain? What's the new threat in the galaxy? Is it the Sith? You don't have to go Sith. But, when is something going on, is something bigger than the Sith? There's something else coming from another region. Who knows what it is? But they need to figure that out. I think once you figure that out, then you can make your movie, and then your next few movies. And then when you've got all that figured out, you can decide if Rey is right to be the protagonist, or if Rey is better to be a supporting character, and if she's going to pass the baton. That, to me, is how you're going to figure all that out. Now, there's all this talk about the movie has been delayed or not.
You want answers! I want the truth! You can't handle the truth!
And like I said, we talked about this a little while ago. And, I don't look too much. I haven't seen too much being dwelled upon this much. I think people pretty much, they took the view on this seems to be, if you're negative on Lucasfilm, you're believing the first rumor. But if you're high on Lucasfilm, positive, you believe in the Gizmodo article. That seems to be how it is. I feel like we're somewhere closer to the middle. I really do. I think we're going to get a Rey. Rey's going to return. I don't know how or when. I don't know if this is going to be the project we get her in or not. Rey is going to return. It's just a matter of time. But there's something going on where they haven't been able to figure it out. Right, because they had the Lindelof thing, and he's gone now. The Knight might be there, he might not be. I really feel like it's somewhere between. I think they're struggling in some capacity, which is a little bit. It kind of reminds me of, not totally, because we don't know the context of how they're struggling here, or if they're even struggling, but I believe they are. But it's the Michael Arndt episode 7. Michael Arndt doing episode 7 said, every time Luke Skywalker comes on the screen or came on the page, that the attention was all focused right on him, and he took away from what was going on. And I always thought that was ridiculous. And I'm not taking anything away from Michael Arndt as a writer. Obviously, he's much more successful at it than I am. But it seems to me that if you can't, and I still believe this for the sequels as a whole, even post Michael Arndt, it's that there was way too much emphasis on Luke Skywalker. There's too much of, he thought it was a myth. Why is he a myth? He didn't announce what he was doing.
I'm Luke Skywalker. I'm here to rescue you.
He hid away and burnt Vader. He didn't say much. And I know with the books, the books had nothing to do with it. The books weren't around yet. You can go back and retcon it all you want. That's fine. That's great that they're doing it and they've done some stuff and whatever. But the bottom line is, I really feel like they overvalued Luke Skywalker. And if you look at the people online, especially that don't like the sequels, they also overvalue Luke Skywalker. And it's because you're overvaluing Luke Skywalker, especially, that you run into a lot of problems. Luke Skywalker was just a normal dude on a moisture farm, like all of us, who wanted to fight and join the rebellion and whatever. And then he had the Force, became a Jedi. It's the hero's journey. Oh, the hero's journey. We all know. You pretend that you read Joseph Campbell. So that is the main problem, was just the overvaluing of Luke. And it's kind of reminding me of what's going on with this, and that you can't get past these certain obstacles. And now this Rey thing, they seem to be stuck on obstacles. I don't know what they are. And maybe this is how it's going. If they're having all these problems, maybe you've got the wrong people telling the wrong story, or the right people, the wrong people telling the right story, the right people telling the wrong story. Something's going on there. If someone's come in and said, this is the movie I want to make, let them make the movie. If you watch old behind the scenes clips of George Lucas and American Zoetrope, especially, like they're just like individuals who have an idea and they make their movies. They want to make their movies because they're passionate about their movies. And you look at how the crawl came to be in Star Wars was because there was like this big dinner with like Lucas, Spielberg, I think it was Coppola, Spielberg, De Palma was there, and I believe it was De Palma was like, why is there a rug walking with, like, I don't get it. You need something. I think it was De Palma. It was like, you need to explain this. And George Lucas wrote in a crawl, and that crawl explains everything. But you couldn't get away with that with a studio film, because the studio has to think of this, and that, and like the shareholders and all that stuff. So it's different. Obviously, it's more independent was what it was. And I think you need that more mentality. Star Wars thrives with that mentality more than we need to appease the shareholders in what we're doing. And because then you have your filmmaker, and then you have Kathleen Kennedy, and then you have Bob Iger, and then you have the board, and then you have this. And like there's so many tiers to go up that by the time your idea is approved or considered, you might have moved on to another one, or they probably don't like it, but you're so far down the rabbit hole of what you've been writing, all of a sudden they're like, we got to make this change. So it might not even be like we could complain about Kathleen Kennedy, we complain about filmmakers, but it might be higher than that. It could be above their pay grade, telling them, hey, we don't want you to do that. We need you to do this because, we need to sell this toy, and this toy wasn't selling well, so we got to figure out a way to sell this, and McDonald's wants this, and Burger King wants that, and Taco Bell, and all these other things going around. And that could be one of the issues that they're really hitting, is they got to appease everybody above them. And that's a tricky thing to navigate. And George Lucas, one of the complaints with the prequels was he had all yes men around him. No one said no. But he made the movies, and they happen. Every 3 years, bam, Star Wars, done, go. Bam, Star Wars, done, go. Bam, Star Wars. He did them on his time, the way he wanted to do them. Obviously, he listened to fans. He clearly listened to the fan base. That is why we got Jango Fett. That's why 3PO had a bigger role going forward. That's why Jar Jar's role got diminished. Like, he did listen to the fan base as it went along. And I think, I think there's a little bit of good to be had with doing that, but not so much. So there's so many variables in this, but at the end of the day, Rey is your golden ticket. And I know people don't like Rey. Everyone hates Rey. Maybe they do. But the reality is she was the face of Star Wars for 3 years or for 6 years, 4 years, however many years it was. Rey was the face of Star Wars for a few years, and it started very positive. I think Force Awakens, people really liked Rey. When the Force Awakens came out, people really liked Rey. Like, remember the Monopoly game, the Star Wars Force Awakens Monopoly? I have it. It came with Vader, Luke, Han, and Chewie. No, Finn. Vader, Luke, Han, and Finn. And there was no Rey. There was no female. It was weird that they put no females in it. almost as if they were preemptively saying that women don't like Star Wars. They started that thing. It's so stupid. I'm sorry. But there was no Rey, and then Hasbro was like, "Okay, if you write us, we'll give you a Rey." And I got the Rey. I was like, "I'm gonna get this," so I got the Rey. But people really, really liked Rey. Hasbro wouldn't have done that had enough people not like Rey. So I think we forget that aspect of it. And look, I know there's a section of you arguing the Ben Solo thing right now. I'm not talking about Ben Solo. I'll do another Unleashed in a little while to discuss Ben Solo and what I really feel should happen with that. But as of right now, this is just about Rey. And how do you do Rey without Ben Solo? That's, again, not what this is about. This is just about the future of Star Wars, really kind of the future, like the future of the timeline of Star Wars really is Rey-centric. And Rey was a beloved character for a period of time, at least 2 years, at least until The Last Jedi, when The Last Jedi kind of came and split the fandom. I don't know how people were with Rey. I know Luke was the big talking point. I don't know if it was so much Rey. My issue with Rey with The Last Jedi is the narrative changed from I'm waiting for my parents to come home to I don't know who they are. And that was like the big problem for me, was there was the miscommunication almost with the writers in it. So, but again, that's all whatever. It happened and they kind of resolved it, and it was Palpatine and she repeated it and whatever. But your future is Rey. She is your Jedi. She's rebuilding the order. Something's going down. Now you figure out what's going down. You figure out why you're making the Star Wars movie. When you've got all of that figured out, then you can determine how big a role Rey needs to have, how big a role she should have, why she should have it, and then you make your movie. And when you make your movie, then you can make us all very happy. And when you make us all very happy, we spend our money on Star Wars. And that's what you're going to do. And that's why I believe like the Mando and Grogu thing, that might be part of a trilogy, might not be, but they kind of know where they're going with that. They know why they're making that. Just know why you're making this Rey movie. And don't just make it because you want to make a movie with Rey. And don't just make it because you want to make another Star Wars movie. Make it because there is a point to it. Like A New Hope is, we do our rankings. It never comes in number one, but it is ultimately the best Star Wars movie because it's the only one that doesn't need any other Star Wars movie. It's a complete movie, but it's a complete movie that leaves you wanting more going forward. And it tells you enough about the backstory where you're like, if you think about it, you're like, I would like to know that backstory. And they can give you that. And that's what a good one is. And maybe that's what this Rey movie could do. I mean, the Rey movie is obviously a sequel and we know the backstory, but there could be more. There's 15 years in between them that we could hear Rey talk about, and they can go back. And maybe don't call it episode 10, or maybe call it episode 13. Maybe start at episode 13 or 12 or 11 or 14. Don't go 10. Just go further and be like, this is the story. There's more in between. The more you do that, the more you can go forward. I think you can have a lot of fun with it. I really believe Rey is the way to go. I don't know if I believe that this movie's coming anytime soon. I don't think they're close to it. Because again, in that Gizmodo report, I believe it says something along the lines of no, everything's fine, but we don't have a script. But we're shooting in May, but we don't have a script. They don't know what they're stuck. Something is stuck here. I don't think it's going to be shooting in May. And if it does, that's great. I just hope they have something concrete, and I hope they know why they're doing it. I hope the threat isn't just a rehash of the Empire. I hope it's something cool and unique and well thought out. And I'm not saying it has to be anything big. It doesn't even have to be like the end of the world type thing. It just has to be something fun. And if you can get that out of the way, figure it out. Rey is the future. I will do a Ben Solo video again, I promise. But for now, Rey is the future. She checks all the boxes of what a lead character could be. She has history. She has, and her friends around her. Like, there's so much that she offers to the Star Wars fan base, that to the Star Wars lore. She could, and she is the one that can bring this lore forward, right? She can take you to places that Star Wars needs to go, that Star Wars should go, that we need to watch in the future. That's it. That's me. This is Unleashed. This has been fun. Maybe I'll do it again. I am Ben Solo video coming. I promise. Thanks everybody for watching. Give us a like and a subscribe. And until next time, may the force of others be with you.
Rey Skywalker.
Hey scumbags, thanks for watching. Don't forget to give us a thumbs up on our video. As always, please subscribe to our YouTube channel, Rebel Scum Podcast, for all the latest videos.